Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. Now, I had a previous video that I put out, I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, about how the U.S. is a corporation and not a country. It was simultaneously that I put out this information with also a stimulus update because of all the rhetoric that people really think that they live in a country and believe that they're fighting for some sort of country rights or anything like that. But what I've been noticing is that a lot of unintelligent, uninformed people who have been duped and tricked, continuously try to pick a side. You are stupid as hell if you pick a side. If you say, oh, it's because Donald Trump was going to expose this corporation, or it's because of the Republicans and on the Democrat side. See, this is the problem. The problem is that people continues to be loyalists instead of someone who follows policies. See, we always try to deem the other side better than one side or another, meaning that, oh, the Republicans are bad because of X, Y, and Z. The Democrats are bad because of X, Y, and Z. Where all of this political party shit is actually so confusing to most people that most regular, everyday Americans do not even understand politics. You don't even understand politics, but you are being loyal to a party. You're being loyal to a system that you have no idea how it's ran. You have no idea how the infrastructure and how it's constructed in order to run this corporation. But I'll get thousands, hundreds of messages of how it's the Democrats' fault. Then I'll get hundreds of messages of how it's a Republican fault. See, people need to understand you shouldn't be political. You should be policy, meaning that you should follow the policies that actually curtails itself to your narrative and what the outcomes that you actually want. But the problem is so many people, is the blind leading the blind. That is the issue that I essentially get a little fired up about, because it's like, how long are you going to live this life and just be so damn stupid that you believe, oh, it's the Republicans, oh, it's the Democrats? It is the system. And the people who are part of both political parties are part of that system. So if you're like, oh, well, it's a Republican because Donald Trump tried to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, no, it's the Democrats because of Joe Biden. He tried to do. No, it's the system in which it stands. That's why this is not about Republicans versus Democrats. This is Republicans and Democrats. And you have to break down this to a very, very simple level. And the problem is some people are too damn simple to understand basic information of how this corporation is not a country. So what I'm going to do with this video is try to inform not how this country is a corporation, because I've already done that, but to give you some insight of why you shouldn't be loyal to one party or another. What you should be doing is what these mofos are saying before they get into office, and see if that lines up of what you want. Because now that Donald Trump is out of office, because I'm looking at all of these confessions, statements, interviews all over the internet, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, mass media, you name it. And the one question that no one can answer, especially for Black people, is now that Donald Trump is not in office, what did you vote for? Well, I voted that, Donald Trump, that Joe Biden would be the president. Okay. What is the second thing you voted for? Well, I voted for change because Donald Trump, kind of gave white supremacies a voice that they really didn't have before. Okay, that's the same thing. So what did you vote for you, for your family, for your community? What did you vote for? I voted for honor and a dignity of self, of living in this great nation. Okay, but what did you vote for to help your current state? Here you are living in the ghetto and projects. What did you vote for? Well, since I'm a Democrat, I voted democratically. And then a lot of Republicans, because of Donald Trump, some Republicans went Democrat. But no. What did you vote for to help you and your family? This is the situation that we continue to get ourselves into, that we're looking at the small picture, but not the big picture. Donald Trump is a small picture. Donald Trump is a very, very small picture in a large puzzle, because now that he's out of office, you have all of these other groups, I'm talking about Black people, that come to the table like this. Well, you gave Asians this, you gave immigrants that. What do we get? You gave Muslims that, you gave Jews that, you gave the Hispanic community this. What do we get? He said, well, I'm going to give you the same thing I've always given you in the 48 years I've been in office. Absolutely nothing. And I have to say this every video, because if you don't say it, people just assume. And when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself. I am not a Trump supporter, and I did not vote for him. I am not a Joe Biden supporter, and I did not vote for him. I'm a non-party official, meaning if policies come that affect foundational Black Americans in a positive, empowering, economic way, that's when I'll start looking to vote. That is when I'll start looking to vote. But let's get into this. I'm going to play a little bit from my last video, because I think it's very important that I contextualize a couple of things. Let me get this out of here really quickly. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I'm going to play some of this. I want to make sure everybody can see this so we can get it rocking in here this morning, because I really want to educate some people here. I know a lot of times I've been having issues for you guys seeing my screen, so I'm trying to make sure you guys see my screen. Give me 1 second. All right. I'm trying to fix the issue here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So unfortunately, you might just have to hear the video, but I'm going to keep going right now. You can see me in the bottom right of your page. I've been having a lot of issue with this platform, but at least you can hear the audio. Here we go. The laws, rules, and regulation of this corporation. Am I wrong? Okay. Good morning, Jermaine Anderson. I see you, brother. Let's get into something else. Let me further try to give you some perspective of that. The United States is a corporation, not a country. See, the United States corporation is generally referred to as the federal government. And please note, in contract law, not coming from me, in contract law, it is always significant that all capitals are used when referencing a corporation name. A legal, clear distinction from a live individual, not people who lived long ago. See, the corporation was first created from my home city, the District of Columbia, aka Washington, D.C. Name another country where the head of the country, the head of the state, is not even within a state and or it's a district. See, via the Act of 1871, the United States Corporation operates under private international law with their own corporate constitution that actually has ties to Vatican and Rome. So let's break this down even more so, because it's very imperative, ladies and gentlemen, that you guys understand these points that I'm making in this video. Now, this video is called the U.S. is a corporation, not a country, second stimulus check update. But this, I'm going to break down what's very important when I talk about these particular things, okay? So we're going to go back over, and I'm going to read how people do not understand politics because you believe that you vote in a president. This is coming from, and I'm going to blow it up so we all can read along. I'm not the best reader, but I can do a little bit something, okay? This is coming from whitehouse.gov. It says here, under Article 2 of the Constitution, the president is responsible for the execution and enforcement of the laws created by Congress. 15 executive departments. Congress is 15 executive departments, each led by an appointed member of the president's cabinet, carried out day to day. Who appoints the president's cabinet, ladies and gentlemen? Appoint, not elected and selected, not selected and elected, but appointed. The president and the VP. Those are the ones who actually appoint other people, okay? Now, most of them, of course, all of them probably be Democrats, most likely than not, or independents. It says, to carry out the day-to-day administration of the federal government, they are joined in this by other executive agencies, such as the CIA, the EPA, that's the Environmental Protection Agency, the heads of which are not part of the cabinet, but who are under the full authority of the president. The president also appoints the heads of more than 50 independent federal commissions, such as the Federal Reserve Board or the Securities and Exchange Commission, that's the SEC, as well as the federal judges, ambassadors, and other federal offices. Again, once you guys elect a president and select a president, guess what occurs? Your power goes away. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Understand that you should not belong to any political party. You should see what political party has the best policies for you and your family and your community. Then you vote. Oh no, I'm a Democrat because them goddamn conservatives. Oh no, I'm a conservative, them damn liberals. And people don't even know what the hell they even voting for. I call them loyalists because you are loyal to a party and you have no political education, no political information, and you don't even understand how politics control America, but you guys are just following suit. It's like the blind leading the blind. If everybody jump off the cliff, so will you. The executive office of the president consists of the immediate staff to the president, along with entities such as the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of the United States Trade Representative. Now, the president has the power either to sign legislation into law or to veto bills enacted by Congress. Although Congress may override a veto with a 2/3 vote of both houses, the executive branch conducts diplomacy with other nations, and the president has the power to negotiate and sign treaties with the Senate ratifies. The president can issue executive orders which direct executive officers or clarify and further existing laws. The president also has the power to extend pardons and clemencies for federal crimes. With these powers come several responsibilities, among them a constitutional requirement to, from time to time, give to the Congress information of the state of the union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. Anyone to read this, what I just read? Anyone notice a certain word? And this comes from whitehouse.gov. It says, give to the Congress information of the state of the union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. This is why some people think there will never be a female president, and that this is a conspiracy theory that Kamala Harris actually will become the first female president in U.S. history, bypassing, here we go, was written right here on whitehouse.gov that he shall judge necessary and expedient. I'm not taking it out of context. I'm just reading what I see. Although the president may fulfill this requirement in any way he or she chooses, presidents have traditionally given a State of the Union address to a joint session of Congress each January, except in inaugural years outlining their agenda for the coming year. Now, let's just break something down. We understand that Congress is made up of senators and congressmen. That makes Congress. That makes Congress people. Okay, senators, which is each state has 2 senators, and they're staggered 6-year terms. I'm going to say it again. Each state has 2 senators that serve a 6-year term, but staggered. Okay, so there's 100 senators, and I believe there's 435 Congress people, and they only serve 2 years per term. Let's move on. The Constitution lists only 3 qualifications for the presidency. The president must be at least 35 years of age, be a natural born citizen, and must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. And though millions of Americans, here we go, this is the part that people are political deaf and political dumb. Although millions of Americans vote in a presidential election, this is the whitehouse.gov telling you that you guys don't have any power. Although millions of Americans vote in a presidential election every 4 years, the president is not, in fact, directly elected by the people. This is why you should base everything with policy and not your party. Stop being loyal to a party which you have no power in the first place, because America is a government. 1, 2, the Constitution lets you know that this is a republic, just as well the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the republic for which it stands. This is not a democracy, even though every president, even Joe Biden, keeps talking about this is democracy. No, this is a republic. And once you select and elect public officials into office, you have no power. And I'm going to break it down even more so you understand this. I'm going to read this one more time and I'm going to move on. And though millions of Americans vote in a presidential election every 4 years, the president is not, in fact, directly elected by the people. Instead, on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of every 4th year, the people elect the members of the Electoral College appropriated by population to the 50 states, 1 for each member of their congressional delegation. Those electors then cast the votes for the president. There are currently 538 electors in the Electoral College. Then they're getting into how Joe Biden is actually the 45th president. They're letting you guys know this. This is 40 out with 45. Well, Joe Biden is, this is from whitehouse.gov. They're letting you know that you guys are political dumb because nobody would like to read these things. Guess what? Joe Biden is actually the 45th president. Let me read on, because this is from whitehouse.gov. President Joseph R. Biden is the 46th president of the United States. He is, however, only the 45th person ever to serve as president. He's the 46th president, but he's only the 45th person. That means somebody else served 2 terms at different times, and they didn't count it. So who's really number 45? I'm just President Grover Cleveland served 2 non-consecutive terms and thus is recognized as both the 22nd and the 24th president. Today, the president is limited to 2 4-year terms, But until the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1951, a president, a president could serve an unlimited number of terms. Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected president 4 times, serving from 1932 until his death in 1945. He is the only president ever to have served more than 2 terms. Ladies and gentlemen, you must become educated on politics and stop picking whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You're not only destroying this country, but you're destroying your communities. And what do I mean by that? Because when you start looking out, mass media propagandize certain information to fit your party's narrative, then you will understand that you have been tricked, brainwashed, manipulated, coerced, hoodwinked, bamboozled all the damn time, every single day, because the only thing you watch is CNN and Fox News, because it speaks to your party's talking points. Let me jump right to that point before I break down more of the government, because I feel that this is the time where I need to show you more than my words can say, in a contextualized way, of how media, mass media, propagandize news in order to change the way you think and the way you look at certain perspectives. Mass media, as a system for spreading and relaying information and messages to the public, plays a role in amusing, entertaining, and informing individuals with rules and values that situate them in social structure. Therefore, propaganda creates conflicts among society's differing classes. Do you understand how CNN and Fox News actually put Republicans who say people, everyday people, not politicians, everyday people say, oh, I'm a Republican, Donald Trump and Mike Pence in my yard, and Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris in my yard, how they war you two guys against each other. Let me move on. I want to break this down even more so. Again, in better words than I could ever say, mass media can be employed to manipulate populations to further the power elite's agenda. You know this, I know this. Because when we see CNN talking bad about Donald Trump, they only show you small clips of what he's saying. They never show you the entire thing. The only way you get the entire thing if you watch it live from the very beginning. But most people are at work or are working, so they essentially can't watch it the entire thing. So what happens? You're like, oh, I'll just watch it late at night. Then they give you clips of what he said. This is a form of essentially playing in the gray areas, flipping the narrative, giving you their biases and perspective. Let me move on. Key points. I'm right on the key points. Stay with me. The propaganda model explains how mass media can be employed. Who employs CNN? The Democrats. Who employ Fox News? The Republicans. This is why they go ham on each other all the damn time. And that's why I hear Democrats, regular people walking the street, don't know shit about politics, talking about them damn Republicans, that damn Fox News. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hear the same thing from Republicans. That damn CNN. The propaganda model explains how mass media can be employed to manipulate populations in the interest of ulterior motives. Ulterior motives. The propaganda model that the way in which news is structured through advertising, concentration of media ownership, government sourcing, creates an inherent conflict of interest which acts as a propaganda for undemocratic forces. The power elite include leaders of the military, corporate, and political elements of society. They are generally the ones who control and therefore benefit from mass media used as propaganda. Then last but not least, key terms. Propaganda. Propaganda is a form of biased communication. Propaganda is a form of biased communication aimed at promoting or demoting certain views, perceptions, or agendas. Can somebody help me out with this? Am I lying to you? Am I lying to you? Let me go. I'm going to say propaganda one more time so we understand that words have meaning and definitions actually mean something. Propaganda is a form of biased communication, meaning I'm biased because this is what I believe without any factual truth or evidence. I might have snippets and clips, but I don't have the whole story. Propaganda is a form of biased communication aimed at promoting or demoting certain views, perceptions, or agendas. Now, if anybody can tell me that CNN doesn't do that against Republicans and tell me that Fox News doesn't do that against Democrats, that they change the narrative, they have biased communication, they aim at promoting their agenda based upon their perception without any facts, evidence, or truth. And when they do give you that, when they do attempt to give you that, they give you in small snippets, clips, journals, some little messaging here and there to fit their narrative. This is the problem when you guys pick a party and you have no idea what you're picking. It's kind of like the dude Jim Jones that took all those black and Hispanic people to Africa and made them drink cyanide. That's what you guys are. You guys are living, breathing reincarnation of the people that Jim Jones took to African town. They drunk the cyanide. You guys are just drinking your party cyanide and you are dying of political death because you have no idea what you got yourself into. Well, I don't agree with everything my party does, but my party stands for this, being a conservative, being part of the grand old party, the GOP. Well, you know, my party, the liberals, we serve the poor people. And do you really know what your party does and how they do it? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, foundational Black Americans. Majority of Black people used to be Republicans. Wait a minute. Republicans were the Union soldiers. And the Democrats were the Confederate soldiers. So history has been flipped. Politics has been turned over on its head. And now all blacks, majority of blacks, not all, majority of blacks are Democrats. Democrats are the same ones who wanted to keep us strongly in slavery. Now, granted, the Union and Lincoln wanted to keep us in slavery, but you know, they wanted some of that power. Because we read the Constitution to form a more perfect union, not to perfectly join a Confederate. But you don't even know. This is the problem. Let me move on. Now, some people would like to know the difference between a senator and a congressman. And, you know, a lot of it is really, now, it's clear the difference because they have different responsibilities and different power. Members of the U.S. House of Representatives, those are Congress people, each represent a portion of their state known as a congressional district, which averages 700,000 people. Senators, however, represent the entire state. How do the House and Senate chambers differ? Now, I just thought I'll pop this up just for fun so you know how much most of these guys make. Supposedly, senators and Congress people make, well, Congress people do include senators, so that's a huge difference. But nonetheless, Congress is made up the House of Representatives and senators. That is Congress, okay? And supposedly they make $174,000. Now, if you understand this, that majority of the 435 Congress people and those 100 senators actually are all millionaires. Bernie Sanders, millionaire. Joe Biden, millionaire. Barack Obama, millionaire. The Clintons, the Bushes, millionaires. Kamala Harris, millionaire. All of them. Mike Pence, millionaire. Just look them up. Let's look it up. Let's look. Let's see if I'm talking outside of my mouth. I didn't look this up before. I could be shutting the hell up right now. But I'm looking up this live. I love doing things live because I love to make my own self look stupid sometimes. But then again, I'm always right. I hate being right, but I'm not being cocky. I'm just being exact. Kamala Harris net worth. Let's see it. I may be wrong. Let's see if somebody put the truth out here. We'll go right here, 2020 Forbes. It says right here, Forbes.com. It says Harris brings the clout while her husband, attorney Douglas, brings the money. It says about $2 million in 2018, including Harris' earnings from writing, her Senate salary. So they worth $2 million. She's married. She's worth $2 million. She's worth $2 million. Because everybody loves Bernie Sanders. Let's look it up. Bernie Sanders. Let's see here. Sanders has collected a six-figure annual salary since he joined Congress. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. They won't tell me. Let's see here. Nearly $5 million. It says Sanders' wife took in around $2.1 million in wages, mostly from Sanders' congressional salary. So Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. Some like, oh, he saved that money. They've done book deals. All this prestigious money that these politicians get is from their status in the government. Because as soon as one of these guys write a book, everybody goes out and buy it. New York bestseller, Washington Post bestseller. I digress. Let me move on. I already covered this, how senators are a part of Congress with the U.S. representatives. There was one point I wanted to make. Where is it at? Give me 1 second.
I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things you can try.
The branch includes Congress, Senate, House of Representatives, special agencies, the office that provide support service. I had one more clip that I want to show you guys. Give me 1 second here. Let me bring this down, see if I can find this very quickly. Just stay with me. I want to make one more point because I'm tired of people thinking that they're Republican because, oh, I'm a business person or I'm a Democrat because I'm poor. You should just be a policy loyalist. What are your policies? I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. But you know what? That's breaking through chains. That's letting the shackles off. Some people's mind are so feeble and so small that they can't look past something that they essentially took an oath to. When did you guys ever take an oath to be a Republican or a Democrat? Were you guys born Republicans or Democrats? Some of you will argue, well, my parents was, and that's what they, no. You were not born a Republican or Democrat. You were born black. You were born white. You were born yellow. You were born brown. Mass media are being supported by their own political parties. And my examples of that is CNN with the Democrats and Fox News with the Republicans. And then they pander to the American people to split in order to see who they can select and elect into office. So let's get into one more point so I can drive this narrative home. Here we go. What are the two differences between a democracy and republic? Because again, when you go with this is the political party that you would like to have. And this is why Democrats speak about democracy, and that's why Republicans really don't speak about democracy at all. Because they don't need to speak about something that the country was built on, and the country was built on the republic. In a pure democracy, laws are made directly by voting the majority, leaving the rights of the minority largely unprotected. So let's see here. In a pure democracy, laws are made directly by voting majority, leaving the rights of the minority largely unprotected. Okay, so we understand that Hillary Clinton had more votes than President Trump. President Trump won the popular vote. Am I wrong? Anyone in the chat room, let me know if I'm wrong or am I right? Am I wrong or am I right? Or as my granddad used to say, am I right or am I right? Am I right or am I right? Did Donald Trump win the popular vote and Hillary Clinton had more votes in total? Am I wrong? Someone look that up for me. Because this kind of tells you, like in plain sight, what we live in. In a republic, laws are made by representatives chosen by the people and must comply with a constitution that specifically protects the right of the minority from the will of the majority. So Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and Donald Trump had more votes? Is that what you're saying, Brent C? Let's see. TJ says the corporation only have authority over those that choose to remain under its jurisdiction. Okay. I'm going to address that after I read Newpack. He said, so how do you vote and what policies do you align yourself with? How do you vote? Newpack, I've said this and I've said this, and hopefully you're not one of those people who believe if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. I'm just going to say that as a disclaimer, but I will address you. Okay? I will address you. Here's the thing. First and foremost, I don't vote for any political party or political affiliate person that does not have the policies that I want to vote for. If those policies do not adhere to foundational Black Americans' agenda to empower our people economically, socially, when it comes to all different facets of living, the hierarchy of living, like Maslow's chart of living, then I don't vote. So that is how I align myself. The problem is we align ourselves with one party or another, and none of us just don't just sit back and say, so what are you doing for Black people? Because here's the thing, every group does the same thing. They sit back and they watch. Wait a minute, what are you doing for the country? Because majority of the country is white. So that's why they sit back and wait. Okay, he's going to do this, he's going to do this, going to do this, going to do this. Then, depending on if you have documented and people who come over and naturalize themselves who are immigrants, that have family back in their countries from around the world, they'll vote for Joe Biden because he said my first 100 days, I'm going to do all these things for immigrants. I'm going to give immigrants reparations. And some like, well, immigrants reparations? What are you talking about? And some immigrants will lie to you that and tell you that they don't get benefits and subsidies as they come to this country. Look up a program called TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. That goes to immigrants. Medicaid goes to immigrants. Another healthcare program for immigrants who make over the amount that Medicaid allows them to make so they don't get insured. Their children still get insured under CHIP. So understand why you are voting and what you are voting for. Is it for your own personal interest and your community? Because that's the problem. They propagandize Black people. They come on with Chuck Taylors and Timberland boots and have hot sauce in their purse, and they chuck a jib and dance and twerk off the racism to the Capitol. I'm just saying all a bunch of stuff because this is what they do. And they never tell you what they're going to do for you. And the only thing you can do is, well, they got Donald Trump out of office. That's all I needed. Your ass is still broke. But they give other groups reparations. They give other groups benefits, and they give them cash payments. Let me look it up for you. I'm glad he brought it up. Because some people do not understand TAF. Let me look it up. This is coming from benefits.gov. Look at this. This is what immigrants get. They know this. I know this. The Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program provides grant funds to state and territory to provide families with financial assistance and related support services State administered programs may include child care assistance, job preparation, and work assistance. Okay? But and here's another thing, they get cash payments. And the difference between EBT and TAP is that they get cash. EBT don't get cash. And if they do give you cash, it's that funky money. That is the problem. Let me see here. Now, they got an example who received TAB, but there's more people who receive TAB than this. And this is another government website. It says tribal TAB, okay? So they're telling you who gets it, but TAB, immigrants gets it as well, but this is tribal TAB. It's an assistance program for American Indians, Native Americans, and Alaskan Natives, which provides cash aid. Cash aid. EBT, welfare, you don't get cash. You get Section 8 housing, and you get an EBT card. And supportive service to eligible, needy children and families. The goal is to help families achieve self-sufficiency through education, career development, training, employment, and temporary financial assistance. Exactly. So what do immigrants do when they come over here? They all pile in one house, and they stack their bread. They stack their cheese. They stack their cheddar. They stack their moolah. They keep the bag. Then they go out into certain neighborhoods and buy up all the property. See, some African immigrants come over and they're sponsored by another African family. And if they are dealing with what they call cooperative economics, they stay in that house for about a year, and all the money that TAF are bringing in and any other benefits they can get from the federal government, they just keep it up. They may break off the family they living with a little bit of money, and they go out and buy a restaurant. They'll go out and buy a grocery store. They go out and buy a house. They go out and start a business. They go out and be a real estate agent. And they have the roadmap to success before they get here. So when the immigrants say, oh, we pulled ourselves up from our bootstrap. No, you had help. The unfortunate thing is foundational Black Americans have no help. We can't ask our neighbors because all of our ass are broke. And that's to answer your question, New Pack. That is to answer your question. Ashley Hawkins says, I'm worried about this vaccine they push and they want everyone under the same control. Cool DJ say, but now all immigrants benefit from TAF. Cool DJ. There's not one single group that benefits for every single program. So that's dealing with semantics. But what I'm saying is there are federal and state programs in place in order for immigrants, in my opinion, to get some form, and I know I'm really using the word benefits and reparations synonymously. That's just me, because as foundational Black Americans, we still have not gotten ours, what we are owed, versus the Native Americans. They're getting what they're owed. Now, granted, some people, that's another argument, but last time I checked, anytime a country wars against another country, the victor usually takes all the spoils. But in this case, since that wasn't the case and they gave them some of their land back, and on that land allowed them to be their own sovereign nation and not pay taxes to the corporation that they have, the land that they won by war and trickery and all these other things they've done to them. Then if you're going to do that, you took their land, but my ancestors are the one who built them. And here's the thing, people don't ever think about this. These are the ancestors of the Native Americans that they killed off and was warring against. And they are benefiting from their ancestors. So here's the argument. Why can't foundational Black Americans benefit from their ancestors? Oh, well, there's no way to learn how to track you guys. I keep saying it. There are census records the 1870 to 1890 census record. And yes, of course, some people are going to slip through, just like there's some white, blonde hair, blue eyed Native Americans that slip through and get all sorts of benefits from the federal government as well. So, okay, whatever. You did it for them. Why can't you do it for us? But you guys would rather be a Democrat or a Republican. That is the difference of supporting policy and policies that work for you and your community and your family versus everyone else. See, when you start talking about Joe Biden, then you're a Trump supporter. You start talking about Trump, then you are a Joe Biden supporter. Where all the while I'm not supporting anybody but my goddamn self and my B1 family. Here's another thing. To get back on this whole when blacks were Republicans. The Republican Party emerged in 1854 to combat the Kansas-Nebraska Act and the expansion of slavery into the American territories. The party opposed the expansion of slavery before 1861 and led the fight to destroy the Confederate States of America 61 to 65, and slavery ended in 1865. So when blacks were freed, arbitrarily, not really, but you know what I mean, because then Jim Crow came in afterwards. But when they were free from the shackles and chains of their plantation, they automatically became Republicans. Regardless, when Lincoln said, I wouldn't have freed the slaves unless I needed their support to form a more perfect union, hint, hint, Constitution, to form a more perfect union. You guys, that's the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue to pick sides. We do not need to pick a side, pick a policy. See, we get tricked. We get wrapped around these political powers and their puppets, like their mass media puppets, and they feed and fearmonger you in order for you to flip the way you're thinking and your perception about something. It's easy to call Donald Trump a racist, but when you talk about the other side, because Donald Trump did a lot of divisive things, he could have went about a lot of things a lot better. But when you call Joe Biden a racist, like, oh, you want to judge a guy by his past. Well, how do I judge him by his past in his nearest present past? Certain inflammatory statements is like, if you don't vote for me, you're black. That's very disrespectful. The only thing that I can remember in current times, not the Central Park Five or Donald Trump discriminated against black people in his housing, not that. Because then you'll go back to Joe Biden and say he don't want his kids go to a racial jungle, which was a all black neighborhood school. And I'm not bringing up the 86 anti-drug, the war on drugs, and the 94 crime bill. No. If I had to base, let's do this. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. If I had to base, you knew nothing about Donald Trump and you knew nothing about Joe Biden. I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. But take this into account. Donald Trump gets up there. You know nothing about the man. Let's remember that. And he said, look at my African American over there. You're like, huh? Why would he just call out the black guy like that? Call him African American. Okay. Joe Biden gets up there and he said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Well, Joe, what about reparations? I'll tell you about reparations. Immigrants are the way of the future. Anyone see that? Immigrants are the way of the future. So we should be trying to get more immigrants over here. Y'all didn't see that speech? Y'all didn't see that speech? I got to reference another guy's video. You stay with me. And I want to make sure I give him props. This is from TD Hip Hop Media. And this is for fair use. This brother had some really good information. And I want to find a spot that he has, because this is some really, really good information. But I also want to play something from Dr. Claude Anderson that I think that you guys should absolutely hear, okay? So again, this is fair use. This is not my original content. And this is for educational purposes, okay? Listen to this.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2,
Exactly my meaning. You didn't get nothing when you was the 2nd minority. You sure ain't gonna get nothing when you're the 4th minority. Let me show you this clip so I can drive home this narrative even more. Very, very, very important clip that I'm about to show you here. Because the question is about reparations. Let me show you, please. Please just have your biases off for a moment. Don't say you're a Democrat. Don't say you're a Republican. And just listen to the man's words. Again, you know nothing about Joe Biden. You know nothing about Donald Trump. But the only thing Donald Trump said in these current times about black people was my little African American over there. But Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Oh, you my master, you my plantation owner. And here's the second thing that you need to understand when it comes to reparations, how he deflect with a little bit of benign and neglect. Listen to this.
For the descendants of American slavery.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different, and we should invest in them.
Thank you, Mr. Biden.
Do I have to say any more? Do I have to say any more? I'm going to play it one more time. Because this is very important. And I really want you guys to share this video. Please give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down to bring people into the conversation. Because not only did Joe Biden did this, we already seen the famous Kamala Harris video where they asked her about reparations. She said, I'm giving reparation or doing anything simply for black people. No. And some of you may not care, but some of you may not understand how that plays a role in the reason why black people are where we are today. When people think about slavery, they keep thinking that slavery was so long ago, but what they don't understand is that there are a lot of effects of slavery down to Jim Crow, down to Black Reconstruction, and then all of these certain policies, laws that were in place to limit blacks, to handicap blacks from actually advancing in technology, farming, business, etc. And this is the issue I have with people not understand politics in general. And that you should just worry about policy in general. What are the policies is this particular political candidate is pushing? Now we have a guy that's in office. Well, did you want to keep President Trump as president? I don't care, man. I just care about the policies because I want our people to do better. And some people say, well, if you want to do better, then do better. It's not as simple as that. Here's the thing. If this government has politically put the foot on our necks for hundreds of years, and even through Jim Crow, and I can read, I think I have a book here that I can read some of the laws that they actually put. And this is from, give me a second. This is from Dr. Claus Anderson book, Black Labor, White Wealth. And I'm just going to read some policies. I'm going to read some laws, and some of you are going to say, well, that is very, very old. Because I'm going to read the year too, okay? But what you need to understand that this is, in order to undermine a people, you have to do this far in advance. You have to make sure that you cut them off at the leg so they never grow. This is what they're all talking about, generational wealth. And this is what you guys simply need to understand, okay? Because I think it's imperative for you guys to understand this. Let me try to find this chart, but I'm going to play this clip again while I find this chart. So please listen and understand. The question is basically, do you support reparations?
Support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American. And
well, we know African Americans won't benefit from it because we have not been benefiting from it. And I have nothing against immigrants at all. But you know how he said immigrants, and he essentially attached the word immigrant to Hispanics. He's not even talking about African and Caribbean immigrants, but they're in there as well. Now, I know some of these laws I'm about to tell you guys are very old, but we need to understand that in the sense of creating a pathway in order for your people to rise from their current condition, it actually happens in generations. And a generation is how far? It's 100 years. So this is important. Here's a law that actually wore slaves against each other in order for them to snitch on each other. The Virginia enacted meritorious manumission and rewarded slaves with freedom for informing on other slaves. Now, let's see how they chop this out. It says we couldn't preach without a preaching law certificate. Free blacks were denied any kind of a business license in South Carolina. I'm not making this stuff up. I'll put it up here. Look at this. Free blacks were denied any kind of a business license. And we can keep going on and on and on. Kentucky property tax law. Tax blacks forbade their voting or attending school. Louisiana Expulsion Law require all free blacks to leave state within 60 days. Okay? It continues to go on and on. Provided that no black slave could testify against a white person. Let me move on. Place a tax on all employed black arsonists. Maryland color tax. Anyone see that? Right here. Maryland color tax. These are real laws that was on the books to prevent blacks from exceeding and achieving any financial wealth. That is the problem that we don't understand. That this country have put in law state by state in order for us not to succeed. And I'm just reading, I'm trying to find certain laws. What about this one? 1836. Y'all see that one down there? Let me do this. Let me lay it flat. I'm all over the place. There it is. Prohibited licensing blacks for profit-making activities. District of Columbia, business license law, where I'm from. I'm from Washington, D.C. That was a law for people not to be businessmen. I'll do one more. You can actually look these up. Limited resident entering free. This is crazy. But when people are uninformed or unintelligent, and the reason why I like to use both, because sometimes you can be intelligent and just I didn't know that. But sometimes you can be unintelligent and uninformed because the unintelligent person is not going to even look for the information. Bar blacks from military service. That was a while ago. I'm trying to find one more. There was one about starting any business. Here's another one. Prohibited contracts with black mechanics. 1845, Georgia. Y'all see that one? Right here. Georgia contracting law. Prohibited contracts with black mechanics. Missouri literacy law. Prohibited teaching blacks to read or write. So here's the thing. You keep the people broke down, busted, and disgusted, and you think that's not going to have an effect on us now? Some be like, well, no, that was such a long time ago. But we're still being discriminated, racially profiled. I didn't get into the Highway Act, how they used to take black business districts. See, people just think there was one. I'm about to go into a whole nother video, but let me just finish. Some people believe there was just one Black Wall Street. Oh yeah, Black Wall Street. Ladies and gentlemen, there was multiple Black Wall Streets, and I did a video on it. Multiple Black Wall Streets. Just to give you guys a little more insight. I'm going to do this because it's amazing to me how Asians have Koreatown, Chinatown, Japanese town. They have all these districts in America. They have Jewish neighborhoods, Indian neighborhoods, white rich neighborhoods. But when it comes to black people, when we have a black neighborhood, majority, 99% of black neighborhoods are ghettos. Are ghettos. I can't find the one thing I'm looking for. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Here's the story I was looking for. We're going to go down some of them very quickly, so a lot of you guys understand there was more than one Black Wall Street. Okay. This is one thing I think the root got correct. Okay. So here's another one. The Haiti community, Durham, North Carolina. Durham, North Carolina was a Black Wall Street. But back then they used to call them black business districts because that's what we did. We did business. What it says here, it says, a black man built out of lumber which black men cut and planned. He may put on a suit which he bought at a Hasby and socks knit at a colored mill. All of this is black, black, black on black, black, biggity, black, black, black. He may cook victuals from a colored grocery on a stove which black men fashion. He may earn his living working for colored men, but sick in a colored hospital and buried from a colored church. Replace the word colored with black, because that's what they used to call us. And the Negro Insurance Society would pay his widow enough to keep his children in school. This is surely progress. W.E.B. Du Bois. Again, this was in Durham, North Carolina. Let me move on. Jackson Ward, Richmond, Virginia. In the shadows of Virginia's Capitol lies a Richmond neighborhood called Jackson Ward. Before black people moved to Oklahoma in masses, newly freed slaves began occupying the area on the northern edge of Richmond's downtown district. Soon, so many businesses emerged in the predominantly black community that it was called the birthplace of black capitalism. Because the area was home to so many black-owned banks, insurance companies, and other investment groups, it garnered another name because every tragedy will eventually become better known somewhere else. This is Jackson Ward, Virginia, another Black Wall Street. What about this? It talks about entertainment district was called the Harlem of the South. Harlem was another Black Wall Street. And if you didn't know this, in 1910, I'm right here, the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank opened in Jackson Ward. Owner was Maggie L. Walker, the first Black woman to found a bank in the U.S. Let me move on. The 4th Avenue District, Birmingham, Alabama. During the heart of the Jim Crow era, the population of Birmingham was much different than the city's current demographics. But in 1950, most of the city's 37% Black population did their business in a downtown area, 4th Avenue, known as the Black Business District. Better known as the Black Business District, also known as Little Harlem. It had retail shop, attorneys, doctor offices, half a dozen hotels, and much more. The buildings were designed by Black architects and built by Black construction companies, including the 6-story structure built by the Black-owned Penny Savings Bank. Because the city was racially segregated, but home to a thriving iron and steel industry, Birmingham's middle class sustained Black-owned banks and insurance companies. By the end of segregation, 6% of the city's Black-owned businesses were in the Black Business District. Again, by the end of segregation. This is why Martin Luther King, at the 7 months before he died, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Dr. Claude Anderson, Francis Welsing, John Henry Clark, the list goes on and on, why they all believed that integrating was the fall of the Black community. Once they integrated us into white society, have you noticed that nothing has been going too good for us? But when I point this information out, when men were in the home and not massively incarcerated, but you say, well, what happened? Look up the summer of 1919, where they destroyed literally every Black Wall Street. 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma Wall Street went down. All for some fictitious reason. Then Black people started to build up again, because that's what we do. Then the Highway Act, then redlining. And in those two large legislations and pushes of highway advancement, but through Black communities, and to separate, came the marginalization and disfranchising of Black people in those neighborhoods and around the U.S. So again, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, stop it. Just stop it. You know nothing about politics. You know nothing about this corporation that we live in. The only thing that you can get behind are the policies they'll do for you and your family and your community. I'm going to read your notes. I'm going to get out of here. I believe I drove this point for way too long. For way too long. All right. We got New Pack on here. Says, I agree there shouldn't be party loyalists, but historically speaking, boycotting a vote never produced better outcomes. I agree. I agree. See, you just can't boycott your vote, because that's one form of power that Black people have in America, is literally holding on to your vote. But see, here's the thing of the New Pack, and I slightly agree, I slightly disagree. If all 40 million foundational Black Americans boycotted their vote, we'll see change, but they know we will never do this, because there's a large divide in different Black communities, different areas, different states, different districts, different towns, because we all look at certain different content that affects our mind, that divide us. See, we can't all come together and say, hey, Black people, would everybody want $100,000 in their bank account? Well, yeah. Well, we're thinking about boycotting the vote for the next term. Hold your vote until they give us reparation. Well, what about health care? What about it? You don't think money and land will help you? That's the thing. The narrative gets switched. And they start to pander different things. But they're not going to just give you health care. They're going to give everybody health care. They're giving everybody health care. Immigrants, undocumented or documented, it doesn't matter. The second thing when it comes to quote unquote boycotting your vote is boycotting businesses and supporting your black owned businesses. See, is this not a one-way street? This is a 6-lane highway that we need to approach and attack this situation in order to get what we want. Boycotting your vote is one. Pressuring those in power is another one. Stand on that ass until they give us what we want is another one. Boycotting businesses that don't support black people is another one, and supporting our own black businesses. And I know, here's the thing. There's not enough black businesses that the things that we want and need that we can support, but the ones that we can support, you should support, in my opinion. He said that was very disrespectful of Joe to say that, but they are all the same. I agree. So we got Demetrius Carter here. We have to start buying land. Brother, that's one crust of many pies. That's beside the point. But I agree. But there's so much more. Let's see here. Stephen Bryan said, we can forget it. So many LGBT new politicians are black and will identify LGBT before they identify black. They were handpicked to run by Dems. I agree. I don't agree that we can forget it. See, the fight is over when you stop fighting. But you are right. The first and foremost, see, I don't care about your sexual gender and sexual orientation, but what people need to remember that you're black first. You're black first before you anything else. I don't care who you sleep with and who you date. But we don't have, the problem is people saying, we don't have an agenda. We have an agenda. Many people have spoken about this agenda. The Black Authority has spoken about the agenda. Tariq Nasheed has talked about the agenda. Professor Black Truth has talked about the agenda. Dr. Claude Anderson has talked about the agenda. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King have all talked about the agenda. Ice Cube have talked about the contract, which is the agenda. We have an agenda. Oh, we need a leader. No, we don't need a leader. Let the agenda be the leader and everybody follow the agenda, be one. Leaders they can kill, an agenda you can't. Well, who's the leader of this agenda? Well, all of them, sir. This is probably an official from the FBI agent, because you know they love to do COINTELPRO on people, destroy Black Panther Party, aka slip that in. Well, I see their agenda here. They're demanding a lot of stuff. Well, they're not gonna move one iota. They're not gonna support no other business except their own, and they're not gonna vote. That's going to curtail the power structure in America. So how do we get these guys to obey us like they used to and keep them on that political plantation? I don't know. They look in solidarity together. They're really serious this time. You mean to tell me one got no Sambos or Coons? I mean, the ones that we have, they're really not that significant because, again, they're going by an agenda. Majority of them are going behind an agenda and not a leader. See, what we did back in the day was we used to take certain Coons and Sambos and either kill or assassinate their leader. Then they fall and crumble again, waiting for somebody else to come about. But now all of them are thinking alike, talking alike. This is crazy. Can we do this? They're all calling out white supremacy and racism, discrimination, and they're using our laws against us. Oh, man, I don't know, 40 million African Americans pissed off. What are we to do? Pressure. The problem is, Stephen, if you believe that, how else other people believe that? Many other Black people believe the same stuff you believe. But guess what? Come over to my side, then you're on my side. Then you convince somebody else. You let them know it's for you and the people. And you got to do them like Harriet Tubman. If you start on this road with me, I'ma set you free. But midway, if things get tough and you get scared and you begin to run back to the plantation, I'm going to shoot you in the back and I'm going to kill you. That is what Rosa Parks did. She used to bring groups of slaves and she always had a gun because she knew there was going to be some coon or Sambo who was either one, trying to investigate for his master of all the slaves that were missing, and or two, who got scared and could not go the rest of the way, so she had to kill them. So, brother, we can keep talking about how these people and that people won't do it. The first issue, we need to be aligned and united. And the problem is they have separated us on so many things: light skin, dark skin, LGBT, color cast, economic classes, Democrat, Republicans, etc., etc. The goal is to discuss civil rights as equal rights. You know, Stephen, truthfully, the only thing we need is justice. Because justice covers all of those rights. Because essentially, we are, quote unquote, supposed to be citizens, and citizens have justice. Rights and justice, pick one. I want justice. I think that's the way to go. What did that have to do with reparations? I don't know what you're referring to. All right, let's move on. Let's see here. They do, Stephen. They do identify LGBT over blacks every time. I agree. See, the only time the political parties would like to talk to black people is on election time. Let me see. Anything else pertinent here? Exactly. I like this. White supremacy doesn't have a political party. It has a global agenda. And that's why white supremacy resides in both political parties, because they understand, regardless of my party, I need to have a system in place in order for us to stay powerful and rich. Thank you very much, Stephen Bryan. Very good. Very point well taken. Point well taken. Alfonso Morris. Then came social integration. Then came the drugs. Then came the hip hop culture. Woo! Let's not talk about hip hop. Let's not talk about hip hop. Because we understand that hip hop has infiltrated African and Caribbean countries, and they're looking just as bad as we are over here, up there twerking racism off at the Capitol. She was an immigrant. A large percent of us don't know how to vote in our own interest. Exactly, Alfonso. We got to heal before we build. Yes, indeed, we do. Let's see what else you guys got going on. Let's see if Joe Biden gets back to Ice Cube about the contract for Black America. No, he's not going to do that. And you know that, and I know that. It's not, you would think that the contract with Black America, I mean, of course, I'm going to be one-sided here, would be part of his 100 days in office. No, immigrants. He told us right here for reparations. He told us. They asked him about reparations. He said immigrants. Okay. Alfonso also says this issue with that is FBA has to be raised up like that from children, where learning be one, all those different agendas for us as adults. Being for self first as a people is part of other people culture. I agree. And just to put a little bit sugar on top, that was called integration. When we start to lose our own self-identity. This is when African Americans start to perm and straighten their hair to fit into white society. Now, as you can see, there has been a shift of loving our African, our African nurtured hair. If you're noticing that, I mean, not me, It started leaving me at 27, so I had to let it go. Demetrius says, I'm encouraged that we have already reached a critical mass. Reparation is a justice claim. It is a debt that is owed. I agree. Soccer says neither is Kamala Harris. I don't know what they're referring to. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with me as long as you did. Please share and like this video. People who might find this information interesting. And again, I have another video that it says the U.S. corporation is not a country, but it's also a second stimulus update. And that video is doing very well because the information that I've contextualized inside that video and broken down in a very, very layman's term in order for people to get the information and understand. But the next step is moving from either party. We have to move from a party system as Black people. And granted, let me put this disclaimer out too. I know as of late, I've been saying a lot about immigrants, but I want to point out to those immigrants who blend in with our skin. I would like to tell those immigrants who blend in with our skin. That's people from the Caribbean, people from South America, people from Africa as well. Is that I'm not calling all of you guys coons and sambos, because a lot of you have come over here. The guy who runs a YouTube channel called TD Hip Hop and Media, he is definitely in solidarity and support of Foundation of Black Americans, because him too is not, originated. His family has not originated from America. But people like him and some others are in solidarity, and Foundation of Black Americans receiving reparations for what our ancestors have put forth their blood, sweat, and tears, and the things and atrocities that they've been through. So I love guys like him and other people that I know one-on-one that are from, the Caribbean, Nigeria, Kenya, etc. So when I say certain terms, I don't want people to feel offended, but those who are offended just know, if you're one of the coon sambos that go on Twitter and you're part of one of these social outlets, like, World Hip Hop, that's ran by immigrants, and they try to exploit African Americans, Foundation of Black Americans. And they show our ugly, but they never show our good. I'm talking to you coons. So with that being said, Alfonso, eventually it will be. This is Financial Literacy 101. I know today was not financial, very political, but essentially I'm not here in order for me not to make some sort of change with my people. I'm here to give you guys some sort of knowledge and or wisdom, and for you to make a decision about your life and what I'm actually saying. Because when you really think about it, you voting Democrat, you voting Republican, what has it really done for you? Other than this narrative that whoever the president is, and doesn't matter, does it? Did your life change under Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump? Did it change? Did it change by something they did? Did it change by something they put in place? And did it change specifically for the Black community? What I've noticed is there's an Indian family living right here, right across the street. They always have friends and families over. And the one thing I know, when I went to Canada, I went to an Indian neighborhood. The whole entire block was Indian in Canada. They know how to come to a country, set up shops, and buy neighborhoods. We have to learn how to do this as well. And I agree with one of the subscribers here. He said we need to learn how to buy land. And I said that's only one part of it. That's all I have for you guys today before I go into another video. You guys have a great and wonderful weekend, and hopefully your football team wins. I'm out.